recording. So we left it here with the boxes. What I want to do today, I realized now before I started the recording that maybe the easiest thing or the best way to start is by kind of working on just clear kind of a clear canvas function. You know what I mean? Essentially, not even that, but more like a parsing mechanism, because essentially at the end of the day you want to have a circuit, and so you want to have something like these, right? So, and I realized and we probably make it compatible to Qiskits. Oh my god, shame on me. Querix format will actually help me. And I'm thinking, how do they clear all? So they have these calls, which I guess these are okay. So they actually work column by column instead of qubit by qubit. That's interesting. Okay. So they put an X here. If I put it here, okay, there's a 1. I guess that's just the identity. Okay, cool. So yeah, I get it. So I guess that's what we want to do. So they actually work with columns. So let's try to see, and let's try to basically do that. But I'm curious, what's the object they built afterwards? Because essentially, yeah, but it makes sense. It makes sense to go column by column, because whenever we then work on the computation part, the way you evaluate a circuit, right, is like it's column by column. So actually it makes more sense than go qubit by qubit or line by line. So that actually makes sense. So let me copy these. Let's what do we want? So what are we gonna do? We wanna basically be able to, first of all, to read that into an object. Do we need to read that into an object, or can it then just these be the object? Yes and no, because I guess we need each of these X. So these would be the gates, and this is just kind of, I guess, an ID, and then these gates have some kind of like representation, right? So each of these things will then need to be mapped to some kind of object. So cool. So let's just maybe work on the parsing. I'm gonna clean this up because I think the mouse app, that's all fine. We maybe let's open Ghostwriter. So let me try this. Let's see if that works. So I'm gonna open these speech recognition and see if that works. Hello, Ghostwriter. Oh, it's not so nice. Hello, Ghostwriter. That's where my English is gonna is gonna suck. I'm not so sure if that's the best thing. I wanted to save me typing again the same thing every time what I'm just saying, but Ghostwriter. I thought voice would make more sense, but I'm like, I don't know if I want. I don't know. Let's just go back. So like a function, I'm just very slow typing, so that's actually another reason. So I'd like a function. What I have my keyword layout on English? No, I need German because I have a German keyword. I like a function to pass a JSON string, strong like this. It always has a calls property, and which basically, which is an array. It's kind of an array of arrays, right? Each of the arrays or columns represent basically the quantum gates at each column of the circuit. So essentially, so I am looking into a way to parse this into a circuit object, and this object, I guess this object basically, yeah, kind of has, and this object then keeps track of the gate objects at each column. The gate objects are identified by a unique string, which is what is provided in the example above as X, for example. And so let's see, this is all fully written. Let's see what we get out of this. It's a bit more complex than before. So okay, so it takes these and it maps. Okay, I like it. Cool. Interesting. New Pauli X, that makes no sense. Case 1, case X. So I guess this just maps each of the each of the gates. I'm sure. Yeah, okay. It's interesting because it actually catches some of the nuances of the quantum object. So it's interesting. So how can I put it into a separate JS file, which is then imported in script.js? Yeah, I guess circuit.js, exactly, circuit.js. Okay, cool, I like it. So we'll do circuit.js, and here's where we're gonna keep all this stuff. So so that makes the circuit object available. That's interesting. I mean, that's basically parsing these. So with regards to the passing code above, can you make it a bit more object oriented, where circuit, where I can then later on create circuits, create circuit objects, etc. I mean, I'm not so sure that's the right way to do this, but yeah, so you pass it this stuff, and then JSON string. I guess parse JSON string is something that then you would kind of call it. So is it good practice to use? Is it good practice to use classes and object orientation in JavaScript? I'm like, I done never really done object oriented stuff with JavaScript. It's, you know, a bit more of like quick scripts here and there. So we've got the JSON string, and essentially, well, not even, yeah, okay, we can keep it like this, and then basically just call, no, just basically call this, right? So Okay, so essentially now we're building this. Okay, so we have this cool. We have this stuff. So let's work on the gate object. So I'm thinking whether gates. So how would you go about defining gates? Should you just define them as separate gate? Yeah, I guess as separate classes, or they are just, because essentially each gate has some sort of matrix associated to it, right? So I think it could just be generic kind of 1 qubit gates. You know what I mean? Let's start with gate.js. Gate.js. So can you help me now with code for a gate object that is able to store info on the gates? Yeah, kind of like on the gates the gates matrix. As well as a label and a function. Is it good practice for then the gates to just be able to draw themselves? I guess I'm not so sure, but I guess so. It's a label. Label matrix. So would it be good practice if the gate object has basically knows how to paint itself on a canvas, or should we keep the painting code separate, the rendering code separate? Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking. Okay. So you have the gate label matrix. I guess that's it. And then you know I guess then we can just create the specific gate instances, right? Yeah, exactly. So for the toolbox we can have specific instances of the gate. Okay, so this is the gate, and then basically that's kind of what it that's what the parsing here would do, I guess, right? So how can I import the gate object into the circuit.js file? So class circuit, blah blah blah. So I import gate. I guess that's what we're doing here. And then essentially what we're doing is default return gate identity. So the identity would be an I, which I guess, I mean he's got ones in here, but that would essentially be the identity, I would say. If we want to be strictly compatible with that with Quirk, then I'd have to stick to these, but so if the label is let's put it this way, like the default would be, if it's none of them, I assume it's a 1, and so then it's kind of like the new gate is the identity. Let's just put it this way, or case 1. We can also just put it like this. There's identity case 1. So we can definitely do something like import gate, and then should I just now say new gate and then label matrix, right? I guess that's the way that this will work. And so new gate, label X, and then what's the matrix for the Pauli X date? I think it's like a, yeah, exactly, there you go. So I guess essentially it's just these. So this is the Pauli gate, and then for the identity, so it returns an identity gate, and that is just actually, I think just this, right? Yeah. Okay. And then I guess the default would be to also just create a gate, or maybe just show an error or something like that. We'll see. But here you can add other types of gates. I mean, it's not return. It's not, I would say return, right? So the circuit object would need to have. So we need to have the columns. Essentially, parse in this object, and then this circuit. Okay, so it's actually creating a circuit property, and then what is it doing? So what is it doing? It's mapping these elements. So if I go to the script and I import the so import circuit and do the script JS. So this is the stuff here what we need to add, and I guess we want to try circuit.js. So can you give me some code to test circuit.js? Okay, so what is it doing? So it's doing. Now I want to test the parsing. Stringify. What is this code doing? So if I go to script.js, can I see the, yeah, I can see that, but there's some, oh, cannot use the import statement outside of a module. Outside of a module. So seems like the import is not working or correct from a syntax perspective. I get the message. Switch to an environment that supports the import-export statements such as Node.js, or you can use a tool like Webpack or Browserify to build your code and include the necessary modules. Okay, now we're talking. So now it's getting interesting. Of course, because I'm using script.js. Script.js, it's just basically as part of this indexing here. So, and I need something probably that builds everything into one file, I guess. But as I don't want to get into these yet, I think I'll just copy paste everything in here, and then or maybe I should work on this. So it's all like Webpack or Browserify. Okay, so which one would you recommend, and what changes do I need to apply to the REPL for it to work? No, I don't want to use Node.js. I'd rather go with Webpack, for example. Configure the project. So install Webpack, then configure to protect your files and build your project. You can find more information how to do this. Can you help me? Can you help me directly? Instead, I guess. Let's start with installing it. So copy, and then can I just start the shell? Install Webpack. Select one. Oh, npm not installed. Whatever. Okay. Loading shell. Blah, 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 blah. Did it just work or install Webpack? I don't understand. I guess so. Okay. Copy your Webpack to your project, which you can learn more. So, can you give me a base config? I mean, ideally, I'd like the ghostwriter not to send me to check documentation. Although I understand that might be sometimes faster. Uses base element entry. I'm zero familiar with this stuff, so I'm not so sure now if I should keep investing a bit of time going down this way and getting it configured, or whether I shouldn't just do that later and so far just prototype everything on one file and then let that for later. I think I will. I'm almost like, because I'm so lazy, I'll probably just go this way. I'm gonna prototype a little bit further, just putting everything in the script.js, and then I'll work on I'll have a session maybe working on sort of the structure and how to set it up so it builds and all these kind of things. So I can separate the code in different places. For now, I think I'll probably have to just do that. So I guess I can just keep some of these things here up there for now, and then and this will need to be refactored for sure. So let's see. And now we're trying to basically, what are we trying to do? Run. So what is it? What is it that we're trying to test here? If the two things are equal, I guess, or something like that. I wanted to basically, so it creates a circuit. It creates a circuit, which is a JSON string, okay? And then it locks basically, okay, it locks the matrix of everything. Okay, so essentially that's telling me 1 0 0 1, and then if I would go to, yeah, okay, so those are just the matrices of this stuff because this is an identity, and so yeah, okay, I get it. And here will be the Pauli, so no, the Pauli would be here, right? 0 1 1 0, yeah, that's correct. Yeah, okay, but that's fine. So essentially now I have this stuff. So I have a circuit and then I have a JSON, right? And I'm supporting the gates X and 1. I guess I can just then have all the gates. So can you give me more code to expand on the supported gates by adding the Y and Z gates? It's cool that it actually picks up this context. This is freaking cool. I mean, and I see, and yeah, that's actually really cool, man. It's really cool. So, okay, cool. And then the Hadamard gate. Just smiley. Yeah, that's cool. It's also with the square root of 2 and stuff like that. Cool. Nice, 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 nice. So that's like already a very good basic set for a gate. Okay. So what do we have now? So we have a circuit object. We have a way to parse, you know, something like these, right? So let's say X, Y, and Z. So I can give it I can give these, I can give this string, circuit JSON, I don't care what it is. I can give this string and it should print an expected token. Where? I guess it's the I. Could it be? Yeah, because that's the imaginary number, right? I guess it's just math I. How do I represent the in JS? Is it just math dot something? Using the number object? Really? Isn't there a short notation using I or something from the math library? Is there something like this? Math.I, yeah, that's what I thought. I think we can just stick to these. Ugh, I'm retarded. Math.I, and I guess that's just a way to say. Math.I. There we go. An expected number. Oh yeah. What am I doing? I'm missing the comma, I think. Yeah. Oh my god, bro. Getting 0. What is this? Can I just, you know what I should do? JSON string. So, yeah, that's actually. I need another function. So, can you give me another function that parses the circuit object back into a string, into a JSON string? So function, let's see what this do. I don't think that does exactly the same because I want to have I want to have essentially circuit, and so I guess it's not. I guess this is just no, it says this circuit essentially. Does this work? And now I want to do basically console log circuit and then print the whole thing, right? Oh my god. Yeah. I think that's what I want to do. No. Because it's this circuit is basically, that's what it's doing, right? Circuit adjacent string. Stringify the thing. Is this circuit something that I can just use like this to map? I guess so. It sometimes gets difficult just mentally to think about what's the best way to go about debugging something, because you kind of tend to jump into like your own mental process of like, okay, what might be going wrong, and you kind of have to strike that balance between not just relying, I guess, too much stupidly on Ghostwriter, but like realizing stuff, you know, on your own, I guess. Circuit adjacent string. I guess I could just circuit, like if I would just what's going on here with the, isn't it copying stuff correctly somehow? Control C. I don't know, I'm just having some issues with the keyboard. Circuit, can I just print these? Does this work well? Yeah, that's an array of 3 objects. Yeah. So it seems what's not parsing necessarily. This doesn't seem to parse well. Gate label. Maybe I need to do get label, although I know it's label, but. And then so I want to copy these, and I want to get label. That's not a function, isn't it? Why isn't it? Like, why it doesn't know that it's a gate object, maybe? Whatever just does these. Okay, so now it's actually doing the whole thing. Yeah, here you have the matrix, the full object, but then gate. I guess maybe you need to cast it into an object or something like that. Why is it not working? If I just keep it into gate, it just stringify JSON string. Shouldn't it just work like that? Like, can I not just give it the? Shouldn't shouldn't this work? Yeah, okay, but that kind of gets the whole thing, and that's the point, right? You want to iterate over each of these elements, and then essentially get the label. So this is not working well, Ghostwriter. Looks like not working well. Well, it's printing. It's printing null. You wrote it. It's definitely a mistake here. So Ghostwriter is not being super helpful with me right now. But so how can we test this? Well, we're basically doing these, right? So essentially, I would like to basically reverse that. So I like the code to do the opposite of purchasing string, I guess, and put then the gate labels back into an object that has a calls property. I mean, again, let's test this for a second. So I have these. Let's test this for a second, okay? So reverse JSON string. What does this print me? It prints me an object that is an array. No, it has calls as an array, and this array is just undefined. That's the point. For each element in the circuit gate, you're pushing the gate label, which doesn't seem to exist. That's what's wrong. So gate label. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, sure, that's already there. What I need, well, what I need is, I guess this is the, if this is a for each, that's maybe, shouldn't I just use this circuit? Isn't that the index maybe, or something like this? Doesn't this work then? I'm reading a label, yeah. No, it's still undefined. I mean, I'm pushing gate. What is it that I'm pushing? I'm pushing an object. This object has the property label, right? So why doesn't this work? This should actually work, but it's not working. doesn't it know that it's like an element of the class gate, and I can just say get label. But I tell me it's not a function. Why is it not a function? I thought for each gate. So in the circuit. Okay, so in the circuit, there is basically the circuit is an object. The circuit is an object, and then we're mapping basically. So you have the column, then this column has elements. Yeah, that's definitely wrong. That's definitely. It's missing a level of abstraction, isn't it? It's missing a level. Sort of, it's missing. It first you're getting the calls. Reverse. So this function should first over the calls and then the gates. Exactly. I think that's how it should work. Yay, that works. Figured it out. Yeah, it's still. I have the feeling that debugging is definitely, like, it's kind of not there yet. As in, like, it doesn't seem to understand fully sort of the structure of things, right? It's kind of like it doesn't seem to have that concept. Although it should, maybe. I don't know. I'm not so sure if I have the right expectations or not. But it kind of, I guess it could have known that because it wrote the parsing function, right? So, and I guess now the only thing I need to do is reverse JSON string. But I mean, that's not, so the only thing I need to do is do these, basically. Put it in here. And so what I need to do is stringify basically an object called calls. Exactly. I think that's all it needs to do. And then we'll probably leave it here if that works well, because that's what we want to do. We want to print, make sure it prints the same thing. Yay! Pass the test. Cool, perfect. So now we have a way to parse, to read sort of these. Let's do something more complex. For example, these, right? Oh yeah, but it doesn't know these gates, so let's do something like this. Should know these columns. So let's try with these. So essentially, test string, and then we give it test string. And then, so is these equal to the test string? That's what we want to check. False. Don't like it. Can we print it? Oh, because it prints ice. Yeah, okay, cool. So it should just basically use these. Now it should print once, and now we can just check these. And it's true. Cool, perfect. So it works well this way. That's good. Then we can leave it here. And then the next step will be to, so now we have a circuit, we have a gate, we have a way to parse a string into sort of an object structure and then parse it back. And that works well. So the next step will be to, given that object, basically paint it. And I'm going to be using kind of the lines concept in here. And let's just, paint it, and then we will plug into the dragging concept as well, and how to create the gates using the interface. So at least we now will start kind of building something that has a visual representation, but then it also has some kind of object structure to it. And maybe once I'm done with these, so that I know that everything works, the circuit object works, the gates work, then we can work on the project structure, make sure that you can build stuff, keep things in code separately, cleanly, and then we'll work on the most difficult part, which is basically compute the state in each of the columns. Cool. Then see you in the next video.